The wilderness often has a bad rep. Nobody wants to go into the wilderness. And sometimes we might even refer to those difficult seasons as a wilderness. But I want to challenge our idea of the wilderness, that it's not actually as difficult as one may feel, or it may not be as difficult as it appears to be. The two instances that I think of when I think about the wilderness is, of course, the Israelites when they first entered the wilderness. The other is when Jesus himself entered into a wilderness and was tested. But I want to challenge this idea of it being difficult. You see, what's easy for one really depends on their experience level. This isn't hard for everyone. And it can be hard in different ways, but I want to challenge that idea that it's hard for everyone. I don't think it is. In Exodus chapter 13, verse 20, and they moved on from Succoth and encamped at Ephraim on the edge of the wilderness. On the edge of the wilderness. They were about to enter into the wilderness. But for the first generation here of the Israelites in the wilderness, they messed up. And they messed up because they didn't really have much experience of trusting God. To believe this one who has promised a promised place. They really didn't have much experience. They spent all of their lives in Egypt being enslaved. This was hard for them. And of course they wondered, as we know, something that should have taken them a very short amount of time took them a generation to recover from. And I believe that the wilderness is a place where it is actually like a shuffling, almost like pulling out the easy ones, pulling out the ones that don't have any substance. But for the ones that do, I want to talk about Jesus and how he was in the wilderness. And as we know, the wilderness he was tested to turn the bread from rocks. I believe he was tested here on whether God would provide for him, whether the Lord would be enough for him. He was tested on whether he trusted the protection and the divine guidance of God. He was tested on his own heart, his own ambitions. He was tested on him, on his trust, on his faith. And so what I want to suggest is that the wilderness is less of a place of great and utter difficulty and is more down to your experience level. It will wiggle out those who, like seeds, have grown a little bit and find themselves in rocky soil. But for those who are firmly planted and established in him, for the sons and daughters of the Lord who know who they are, who know who their heavenly Father is, this is a place where God is bringing you for you to see what your trust levels are in him, for you to walk and trust in him, and that is it. It's a place of focused isolation. It's a place of intense communication. It's a place where it's just you and him. And how far will you walk with him in this place? Will you trust that he is bringing you to a promised land? Or will you just aimlessly wander and believe that you're going in circles? So do not be discouraged by the idea of a wilderness. Do not be discouraged, because it's a time where God is asking you to come into focus with Him and Him alone. It's a time and a place where He is asking you, how much do you trust me? How much do you trust that I will provide? How much do you trust that I will guard and guide? How much do you trust in my ways, in my provision? And what is the state of your heart? What is the state of your heart towards Him? Is it to lift up you, or is it to lift up Him? Is it to find your promised land yourself? Or is it to wait on Him, for Him to bring you to that promised land? We all knew why Jesus had come. That every knee should bow and proclaim that He is. And in that moment where Satan offered Him the very mission and purpose of His life, really super quick, like microwave noodles, He could have said yes, but He said no. He could have said yes to reaching His destiny, to reaching His purpose in an instant, but He said no, to trust in God's timing, in God's provision, in God's plan. He maintained God's ways, God's hands, God's will, when He had every opportunity to do all of these things for Himself. So the idea of a wilderness being difficult is completely subjective. It's easy when you know who you are, when you know who you're with, and when you know Him. Let's not wonder. Let's just walk and trust in this time, in this season, knowing we are going somewhere. We're not aimlessly wandering.